What does inspire me is that the Lord used, as he always does, that he uses just normal people.
Yes.
It's not some like magic. I think what's inspirational in that for myself and for future families to realize that in a very obvious way, the Lord took a group of just normal people to do something amazing. And it was because of him. I think this is the hardest thing for many of us. I know this is hard for me. He doesn't call us and he doesn't ask us to have it all figured out, but he does call us to be faithful. As Christians, we know we're called to live lives that are different from the world around us. This isn't aimless, but purposeful. And as parents, we know this to be true for our children and our approach to education as well. So how do we do this? How can we be thoughtfully and intentionally different in education, parenting, community, and culture? Welcome to Different by Design. Thank you for joining us today on Different by Design. It's exciting because this is the start of Season 2, Episode 1, Season 2 of Different by Design. And as we had last season, I'm your host, Matt Dixon, along with Trinity's founder and head of school, Liz Caddow. But today I'm excited because we're taking a moment, we're pausing to celebrate. We're celebrating 25 years. This is the start of the 25th school year for Trinity Classical Academy. So we're going to be doing some looking back at all that God has done through his people. But we're also going to look ahead and see what is on the horizon for this coming year and maybe even for the years ahead. So Liz, I'm excited to have this conversation today, and I know you are too, right?
Yes, I'm very excited. I can't believe it's our 25th year, especially when I didn't even think the first year would happen because of the Lord's graciousness, provision, all the people that joined in this effort. It's really quite a testimony and quite remarkable.
Yeah, and I know we have some plans in place and special things ahead of us that hopefully maybe we can get to a little bit later. But I know originally our first episode ever of this podcast on Different by Design, we talked about how Trinity started. And if you haven't heard that conversation, it's a worthwhile conversation just to hear Liz's heart and passion for why Trinity began. But I want to explore maybe some different facets of that today as we talk about and as we look to 25 years, just to have a little bit more insight. I think it would be really helpful for anyone listening, but even just for me as well. And so Liz, if you could entertain some of these thoughts and ideas for a minute, when you think back to that very first year, or maybe even that first day of school. I know anytime we have Meet Your Teacher and first day of school around here, there's a lot of excitement and a lot of energy, and kids are excited to come back to school. I think parents are excited to have their kids come back to school. But what did that first day feel like? Did it have that same feeling, that same energy, even though there weren't 500 plus kids? Did it still feel like that?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, that energy never goes away when it comes to the first day of school and starting a whole new year, reuniting with our families, welcoming new families. It's the same every year, and that's such a huge blessing. But that first day of that very first year, yes, is particularly sweet in all of our memories that were a part of that day.
When you think back to that first year, that very first year that Trinity began, what do you remember most clearly? What stands out now?
When I think back of all of our families and what we were trying to do, everyone had that sense that, gosh, this is going to work. Oh, we can do this, and we're going to do it, and hopefully bless more children to come. Everyone had a true sense of purpose of how we were going to make a difference in children's learning. And that hopefully is still, and I do believe, with our community today and with our faculty and staff today because of what we're doing. 25 years ago, that first group was laying the groundwork to make a difference for the kingdom, and this generation is carrying it on well for them. It's truly a blessing. So that's what I remember the most. Of course, there were lots of challenges, but now they're kind of funny.
I'm sure. I know you often speak very fondly of what you refer to as our founding families, and understandably so, in the sense that those are families that came when maybe it didn't fully make sense yet, right? The vision wasn't fully realized. And I know you were just talking about that, how they came and they were hopeful. They were hopeful for what their child could do and how their child could learn and how the Lord might use that in their lives. It was only just a few years ago that our last founding family student graduated, right? Because of younger siblings and all that. But when you think back to founding families, when you think back to those people, maybe in those first few years, what comes to mind?
Oh, gosh. Well, they all had that spirit of, we're going to build the plane while we're flying it.
Which is always an exciting thing.
Which, if we're honest, that is still the case for some of the things we are embarking on, even now, as we continue to mature. But also, we had to do every year something new because we added a grade every year. So every time we added a grade, it was new, a new curriculum, and in making sure it fit with what we had been doing. We were blessed and grateful to look at schools that had gone before us and had already accomplished what we had hoped to do. So we weren't completely making it up. And we looked to the wisdom of others. And
you had a roadmap, at least, that you were looking at.
We did.
And obviously, there was probably something unique about those families that they were willing to jump on board, even when, as you said, that as you were building the plane while flying it, like they were, I think, even when I hear you speak about them and when I think about some of them, there's a unique entrepreneurial spirit that exists within them, because it wasn't just something that Liz and Wally Caddow were starting. It really was something that a group of people were saying, we want this for our kids, but we want this for others as well.
Yes, and really the underlying heart of those families that still exists today with our families now is a heart for their children, a heart for other children, wanting something more than what's currently being offered in modern education and in our culture. And they crave that and hope for that. And therefore, it just makes a huge difference in our school, or who we are as a school, what we've accomplished together, and what we hope to do for those who will come after.
Yeah, and in that sense, I'm grateful to even for myself work at a place that, as you often say, the mission hasn't changed. And that can be 20 students, 200 students, multi-hundred students. It doesn't change. And I'm sure in that sense, whether that was the first day on the first year or the first day on the 25th year, that mission has not changed.
No, and you're making me remember the conversation around our little dining room table. We had, when we were getting all of this started, sold our home and moved into a condo because I needed to not work at the school I was working at anymore, and Wally was still working at his job. So we were crammed in our little place and sitting, a few of us around the table, crafting our mission. And I'll never forget that. And the Lord is using it, virtue, wisdom, purpose, and courage, in all of us continually.
What was that conversation like? When you were talking about the mission, and even when you solidified kind of even the pillars and some of the things that have lasted even to this day, I guess, what was the vision there? Like what were you trying to hone as you were crafting that?
Well, We knew this integration of faith and learning. We wanted to produce young men and women that had a sense for who they are in Christ and what that would mean to live for Him and what you would need to be that kind of person. And we all need virtue and wisdom and purpose and courage if we're going to live and hopefully be useful for Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way through. I mean, all of us, hopefully, are still through till Jesus takes us home, pursuing those things.
Yeah. And I love that, a few years back when we started looking at those different pillars of our mission and actually making them a different emphasis, in our chapels and other things that we do throughout the year. And what I have seen, I remember when we first started doing that, thinking like, aren't we going to get bored? Aren't we going to, okay, we got it. We got virtue. We understand courage, and what it has helped me see is how those are enduring principles, enduring biblical principles that we can forever explore because we will never fully understand. And really probably the challenge for all of us as believers is fully live out a life that is virtuous, a life that is courageous, a life that is purposeful, a life that is wise. That's the lifelong pursuit. And that's what we individually as faculty and staff are trying to do, but we're trying to do that in front of our students as we, like Paul, say, follow me as I follow Christ. It's not about me, but it's about the one who gives us life. Look to him, and it's worthwhile. It's worth doing.
Yes, and if we are, as believers, continuing to pursue Christ and wanting to be like him, he will always bring opportunities for us to grow in virtue, wisdom, purpose, and courage.
Yeah. So with that in mind, how has the Lord surprised you along the way in 25 years?
Oh, gosh.
Because I'm sure there's been many where you're like, well, wasn't planning on that. Didn't expect that. That wasn't on my bingo card.
Oh.
What were some of those?
Oh, yes. Gosh, when I think of the Lord's graciousness and provision that came through surprises over the course of the last 25 years. Well, I always say, one, I can't believe people came in the first place, that we at one point needed 3 campuses over in New Hall, that people kept coming. And when we kept stepping out in faith, and even after all these years, I wish that I still wouldn't get surprised. But the Lord provides. He provides every time. And we would step out in faith big, even as people would say, you're crazy. No one will come to your high school. You won't be able to have sports teams. But the Lord has surprised us all along the way with many things. Oh, and how working out, being able to purchase our home now that we're in. Just so many things.
When you think back, because obviously some of those surprises were good surprises.
Yes.
Some of those surprises weren't so fun, and there's been a lot.
Yeah.
What would you say kept you going?
I would say wanting to be faithful and obedient to Jesus and what I felt like he had called us to. And if we trust Jesus and we know the Christian walk and his walk, that the road will not be without many challenges this side of heaven. Something that's challenging or hard doesn't mean it's bad or, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow in him. It's an opportunity to look at things differently, try something new. It's an opportunity possibly for others to grow and be changed. So, but yeah, I wanted to remain faithful.
When you think back, because obviously I know initially and then along the way, it's come with a lot of prayer. I know that of you. What was your prayer, maybe aside from your vision, what was your prayer for Trinity? And when you think about those things that you had prayed for, how have you seen the Lord answer those prayers and maybe even expand to say, no, maybe, Liz, you weren't asking enough over the last 25 years? How have you seen the Lord provide and specifically answer prayer along the way?
Well, the prayer and hope was to serve children, and that maybe my own children could be blessed by this endeavor. He's gone beyond that. I can't believe how many children have been blessed over the years, how many families we've had the privilege of serving. One of the greatest blessings I wouldn't have expected was all the relationship and the relationship after, when our graduates leave and come back. It's funny because this makes me think of one of the surprises even. One of the big surprises was that first college acceptance letter that James Brooks got. We were all surprised, like, really? They believed us? No, true. I remember standing in the hallway with James Brooks. He brought it, waving in. He was like, I was accepted, to Baylor. And we're like, what? Anyway, wow. But just how Jesus, through his kindness, has provided just glimpses of his kingdom through children learning, through families being blessed, through relationship being developed, through kids trying something they didn't expect or reaching a capacity they didn't think they could do. I really am overwhelmed sometimes by what he's done and his faithfulness.
In that same vein, if you could, because I know you would want to if you could, but if you could gather every Trinity parent, student, alum, anyone who's been a part of our community in one room to start our 25th anniversary, which again, I know would be a wish of yours.
Yes.
What would you want to say to them at the start of our 25th year? Because maybe this is your opportunity. They can hear
goodness, yes. Well, one, I'd want to hug every single one of them.
Yes.
I couldn't express enough gratitude for their willingness to say yes to something that no one could really see, for the continued families that say yes to Trinity, for the incredible investment people have made over the years of their time, talent, and treasures. I would just want to say thank you for making a difference for children this side of heaven and for God's kingdom. Dr. Dixon, now that I've been crying and a complete mess, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Hearing all of this, what most surprises or inspires you about our school's founding story, or just what we're trying to do?
Yeah. As a dad, when I look at, and again, that's why I asked you about the founding families, because one, I know you speak of them very fondly. But second, I can't imagine, honestly, putting my children in something that I couldn't see yet. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so when I think of those founding families, one, I have incredible admiration for the fact that this was something that the Lord put on your heart, on Wally's heart, for your family, because that in and of itself is crazy. That you would do all that you did, that you saw this, and that you were courageous enough to say, all right, Lord, I can't fully see it, and I'm going to do it. But then when I think of those founding families as well, that they said yes, not just with their own time and talents and all that you just said, but with their family and with their kids, that they would be willing to do that. And clearly, I know I came in at a time where I was able to see the end result of that, and now see the end result time and time again. But again, as a father, I think when I look at what surprises me the most, and even sometimes what does inspire me, is that the Lord used, as he always does, whether it's through what we've seen time and time again in his word, time and time again throughout church history, time and time again throughout his church and his people, that he uses just normal people.
Yes.
It's not some like magic superpower thing. It's that he uses everyday normal people to impact his kingdom. And so I think what's inspirational in that is for myself and for future families to realize that the Lord is working. And sometimes I know even for myself, I want to have it all figured out and I want all the pieces to line up perfectly. And I want to see that vision. And if I do this, then it leads to that, right? Yes. Like we all want that. But how in a very obvious way, the Lord took a group of just normal people to do something amazing. And it was because of him. And he didn't ask you. I think this is the hardest thing for many of us. I know this is hard for me. He doesn't call us and he doesn't ask us to have it all figured out, but he does call us to be faithful. And so when I look at kind of what has happened with Trinity, even with ebbs and flows, challenges, seeing what you've walked through, even hearing stories from before I was here, I see a group of people that were faithful, imperfectly, but faithful.
Yes. Yeah, you will say, or we've said over the years, that Jesus did something extraordinary with ordinary people. And that is what he does. I thank you for that. I also wanted to ask you, just in what ways do you see Trinity remaining, truly different by design in what we've laid out in our mission and what we are trying to do with our students in their time with us, especially given this increasingly noisy and secular culture, like how we can continue to do that over these next 25 years.
I think I think some of it is not forgetting what we just said.
Yeah.
Not forgetting that as Trinity has grown and Lord willing continues to grow in various ways, that we don't forget where we came from in the sense of the Lord uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things if we're faithful to him.
And remembering why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. But I think uniquely the way that Trinity has been, is, and will be, and remain faithful and different and all of that in our culture is first and foremost, and I'm encouraged by this, is that when I look at the people who are here, that we remain grounded in the Lord and remain grounded in his word, remain grounded in realizing that we put these qualifiers on education and we say things like Christian education. Education is Christian.
Yes.
True education is Christian.
That's right.
Because I always have told my students this when I was in the classroom. When I look at something simple like math, when I look at 2 + 2 and it equals 4, I know that that's true because math tells me that if I have 2 things and if I add 2 more things, I get 4 things. But I really start to understand when I say, why does 2 + 2 = 4? It's because there's a God who designed it to be as such. And now I begin understanding something not just in part, but in whole. And so really any education that is devoid of that grounding, that worldview, that understanding, that is not rooted in God and his word is really not a true education.
No,
it just isn't. And so I'm encouraged for the next 25 years, and I see us remaining different simply by sitting in that, number one, that we don't lose sight of that. And secondarily, this aspect of this other qualifier we give of classical. When we look at classical education, to be honest, I can't remember. This is my 17th or 18th year here. I'm still learning and understanding what classical education is. And I know the same for you, where we are truly, hopefully, as we are asking our students to be, learning for the rest of our lives. Like this is an education for life in the sense of it lasts and it continues throughout our entire life, that we continue learning, continue growing.
In all humility.
Yeah.
I mean, and continuing to put it before the Lord.
Which is what education is. It's admitting I don't know everything. I'm not omniscient. I'm not God. And so what I think also sets Trinity apart is this model of classical education that teaches students in such a way that it looks at how God has designed them in the various ways and the stages that they go through and how they learn. It sets them up to uniquely take in information and communicate information, which are just practical, helpful skills for life, no matter what the Lord calls them to. And we see the fruit of that, right? I think that's the other thing for me is I've seen the fruit of it time and time and time again of the students that graduate from here, because I got to see them when they were maybe even as young as in grammar school, and how the Lord shaped them and used the people here, the educational approach, all of that, to produce the type of student that we produce, who first and foremost loves Christ, but secondarily is smart and thoughtful and articulate. And the Lord uses that. And we have, it's always encouraging when we see the alumni that we have in variety of fields and everything, doing a little bit of everything from ministry to business to whatever it might be. Because the Lord has used the time here to shape them and then continue shaping them. But hopefully, I think the thing that is unique about Trinity, I've always said, is learning is cool. Like, do you know what I mean in the sense of like, there's admiration for working hard. There's admiration for excellence. There's admiration for doing well, because those are things worth celebrating as we reflect our Creator. And so again, when I think it's a great question, when I see us remaining truly different, I think in 25 years, Trinity could look physically very different. I know we've had talks of building, master plan and building and all these kinds of things, but I know Trinity will be Trinity
at the core
in those things, as those things remain grounded in Christ, understanding and continuing to lean into the classical tradition and all those things. Those are the things that will serve the students who come here, but just serve Trinity and the families and faculty, staff, all that for years to come. Liz, as we close, 2 final thoughts. And first, as we look ahead, what legacy would you say you hope Trinity will leave? I think of this more broadly, not just for the students and families who come here, but for Christian education, for leaders, for the classical education movement, all of that. What legacy do you hope Trinity leaves for all of them, for all those people?
Yes, thank you. That's a good question. Well, first, I hope the legacy that Trinity leaves is knowing that God uses his people. You have to step out in faith first and say yes. Keep stepping out in faith when you can't always see it. And the Lord will be faithful and provide. And also for other Christian educators and families and leaders that are in pursuit of Christian education, but also Christian classical education. One, it's such a great privilege to be a part of and helping form a legacy for the next generation. It's a worthy and noble cause and effort, and families and educators and leaders can see that really what they're doing is also about who will come after them and make a difference and have an influence over that. I would encourage that. I do hope our school, Trinity, for many years to come will bless children, bless families, and continue to produce that kind of person that can impact the kingdom and live and understand what it means to know the good life. And the good life includes Christ and family and service and pursuing him and bringing others into relationship to him. It's so many things. So that's the hope.
Yeah. Well, as we look to the year ahead and celebrating 25 years, really we could say of God's faithfulness to Trinity and the community at large, would you be okay kind of sharing a sneak peek at some of the exciting things that we have planned and what you're looking forward to in all of that?
Yes, actually, there's some very exciting things. First, we're doing a documentary of Trinity the last 25 years, and I actually think the trailer's out now. It's super exciting that this will be our 15th graduating class, which is, again, a bit of another landmark to get to that place. I'm also very encouraged that Dr. Sachs, coming to speak to our entire community. He is a psychologist and an MD, but wrote Boys Adrift, The Collapse of Parenting and Girls on Edge. And he's coming to speak to how, as parents, we can continue to help raise resilient children in line with Christ, and super excited about him.
We got to hear him this summer at a conference, and he was wonderful.
Yes.
Just practical, but research-based. So it's someone who really knows what he's talking about, and it's very encouraging. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yes. And this spring, we will be hosting our 25th anniversary gala. And it's actually going to be at Ronald Reagan Library. So I think it's April 11th.
Is it? I actually don't even know this. Is it in the room with the
Air
Force
with
One?
The big plane. We'll be sitting under it.
Are there special tickets you can buy and sit in the plane? Because that would be
very fun.
That would be fun. Maybe not fly it.
Yeah,
Maybe not fly
I was
the
thinking
plane,
about it. And then, of course, this spring, we're very excited because we will be putting a hole in the wall for our science labs. So very encouraged about that.
What does it mean, put a hole in the wall? Are we knocking a wall down? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, walls are coming down and science labs are fully renovated. Science labs. Awesome. Very excited too with that.
That's great. Well, I know there's a lot of things to look forward to for 25 years. And honestly, I think this year is going to be a little bit of both looking back and again, celebrating, but also looking ahead. And so it's going to be a fun year. Looking forward to it. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Different by Design. To learn more about Trinity Classical Academy, visit us at trinityclassicalacademy.com. And for more information about our approach to classical Christian education, be sure to check out the conversations over at the Classical Academy podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe and share. Until next time.